Turbo!
Holy shit, Alex hasn't made a review in a couple months. That little plastic Mario. And never mind, that's stupid, he can't talk. I wonder if this little bitch is still awake. Hey! Dude! Man, do you realize that you haven't done a review in a month? Dude, you know your past reviews did really good. Doom, look at it. It got 140 views. Dude, you've been vegetating for a month. If I need to, I'll help you. Come on. BIT.TRIP, bitch. Oh shit.
What makes something art? What makes a book art? The ability to paint a picture with only words? What makes music art? The ability to tell you a story with only instruments. What makes a movie art? The ability to transport you somewhere while you're sitting in front of a screen. Art is a really complex thing, and it's hard to understand what makes something art. So, I've been trying to think lately, what makes video games art? Most video games try to act more as a movie. Take, for example, Until Dawn. Until Dawn is a fantastic game, but it tries so hard to be like a movie. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying, if video games are trying to be movies, are they really being video games? What makes video games its own art form? And I'm not saying everything has to be like this. For example, I've read dumb books. I read the whole Scott Pilgrim series. I've watched dumb movies. I watched Scott Pilgrim. I listen to dumb music. I listen to the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack. I don't know. Maybe I just like Scott Pilgrim.
I'll take you for a ride on a garbage truck. Oh no, I'll take you to the dump.
But while I think about what makes video games art, and I've been trying for about a year now to come up with something, I think BIT.TRIP is the right answer. BIT.TRIP, if you don't know, is a collection or a series of 6 games. They were originally released on WiiWare, and now they've been ported to, they have a Wii disc release, and they have a 3DS release. Some are on your phone. They're on PS4 and PC. They're literally everywhere now. Like, I own them a few different times. And they're a fantastic collection of 6 fun titles that not only bring the gameplay, they also bring an interesting story. See, the way BIT.TRIP does things is that what you're going to be seeing is pretty much Atari-style graphics, maybe NES-style sometimes, mostly Atari-style graphics. And you're going to hear Atari-style beeps and boops. But within that, it tells you this grand, awesome story that you wouldn't even have expected, from a game that looks like this. It's like nothing else I've ever seen before. So, in this, collection of 6 games, whatever you want to call it here, the series of 6 games, you get BIT.TRIP Beat, BIT.TRIP Core, BIT.TRIP Void, BIT.TRIP Runner, BIT.TRIP Fate, and BIT.TRIP FLUX. Each game plays pretty different, with the exception of the first and last ones, but that's on purpose. And each game has its own unique story, so let's go ahead and dive on in. The first game we got here is BIT.TRIP Beat, which is a variation of Pong. You control a paddle on the left side of the screen, and you bounce dots that fly your way off, from the right side. And the whole game plays more like a rhythm game, but it's actually a very fun concept once you get into it. I really enjoy BIT.TRIP Beat, and what's even cooler is the story, which is about Commander Video, as he's the little mascot character of the whole BIT.TRIP series, as he's being born into the world. It's a really cool way to look at things, and even on the last level, you even see his brain forming. It's a pretty cool little thing there, a little way to tell a story. And you wouldn't have really got that from just looking at the game itself, because who knew a game of Pong could actually tell you a story? Up next we have Core, which is a game that you play with only the D-pad and one button. You press a direction and you hit the beats to the beat. It's a pretty simple concept, but this game is actually really unforgiving. This is probably the game that I'm the worst at. The story is about Commander Video coming to terms with his physical body and the world around him. It's about discovery, it's about exploration, it's about being aware and being alive. The third game is BIT.TRIP Void. Void is the most abstract of the 6 games. You control a dot, a little black dot, and you eat other little black dots and get bigger. But you don't want to touch the white dots, so you have to constantly keep releasing all the little dots. And it's a risk versus reward game that it kind of makes sense once you actually start playing it. Looking at it might not make too much sense, but the story of the game actually takes place inside of Commander Video's psyche, as it follows Sigmund Freud's 3 parts of the human psyche: ID, ego, and superego. The fourth game, which is probably the most familiar, is BIT.TRIP Runner. And Runner is essentially an endless runner 2D platformer where you dodge obstacles and complete stages. It's probably the most streamlined mainstream game in the series, and it even got a sequel. And I actually enjoy this one the most because I am such a big platformer fan. And it's about Commander Video running through life, making friends and enemies, but he just keeps running like we all do. It's a very simple, fun game. Fate is the 5th game. It's pretty much a literal rail shooter where you control, good old Commander Video on a rail, and you shoot your way to the goal. With the help of his new friends, he's trying to defeat his arch-enemy, Timbletot. This story is the most literal of the bunch, about him actually going and defeating his enemy. And at the end of the story, he even gives his life, and it's actually really sad. Lastly, we have FLUX. It's pretty much Beat, except for, your paddle is on the right side instead of the left side. And it's actually done to be very metaphorical, because in Beat, you're being born into the world. In FLUX, Commander Video has died and he's leaving the world. But he has the memory of his friends and whatnot. They're all, with him forever. It's actually a very touching story. I'm going to show you the opening cutscene. And I just want you to look at how they made some shapes actually tell you a pretty great story. It's crazy. Wow, just wow. BIT.TRIP is video games as art, because it takes a very minimalist approach to the way it delivers everything. Everything's Atari style graphics, everything's very minimal, everything's very based on rhythm, but it tells you this deep story while doing so. Something that you wouldn't expect from a game like this. This tells a better story than a lot of AAA titles nowadays. Like, I don't care what's going on in The Witcher 3. You're a guy with a sword. Woohoo. But in this, it's touching upon being born, being aware, you know, knowing your limits, dying. It's a pretty great concept for a game series. And the BIT.TRIP will always go down, at least in my heart, as something special, because it could deliver that. So yeah, I would recommend the BIT.TRIP. You can get it on literally everything. Look it up. And I would even recommend the sequel to Runner, which is BIT.TRIP Runner... No, sorry, it's BIT.TRIP Presents Runner 2, Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. I can't even say it, it's so stupid. But I would recommend any of the BIT.TRIP series. I love it so much. And sorry it took me a while to make this video. I moved into a new apartment, as you can tell by the opening sketch. David's my roommate. And it's been a rough time the past month and a half. So hopefully soon I'll be back on track and making more awesome content for you guys. And maybe, who knows, maybe next, because it's getting near October, maybe next I'll be back with something a little scary. So I'll see you guys next time.
Turbo Zone.